Hey Dealmakers, I'm John Simcoe, and this is the first video of a 5-video series called WinWin Negotiations. I've got expert negotiator Norma Lafont here. She's an absolute pro when it comes to negotiation. She always likes to make sure that the other side comes out ahead just as well as herself. She's the author of Negotiation 101 as well as another upcoming book that she'll tell you about later. Stay tuned in this video for the 5 rules of negotiation.
Well, thank you, John. I'm a little embarrassed. I would say I'm the expert in everything, but I've had a lot of experience and I've learned a lot and I love to share. So there's 5 rules in my world that go with win-win negotiations. And first of all, I want to tell you what win-win negotiation means. For me, it means neither one of you may be extremely happy about the outcome, but you're both successful and okay with the outcome. Too many people try win-lose. Win-win means you can both walk away and feel good about the deal.
I always love deals where everyone wins, Norma, and that's something that I learned from you way back by reading your book.
Well, thank you. So one of my rules is you always have to stay in integrity, which means you can't lie, you can't cheat, you can't tell stories that aren't true. You have to be who you are and always in integrity. Integrity is the one thing that you cannot buy, and it's very difficult to recover from once you've blown it. So that's my rule number 1. When you negotiate in life, integrity is it. So that's my first rule. The second rule I have is the rule of ask. And what that means is if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So you can ask for anything you want. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but if you fail to ask, you fail to get the opportunity to move forward in a deal. The third one is never take a no from someone that's not in a position to give you a yes. And what that means is oftentimes you'll try to negotiate a deal and they'll say no. So you ask for a supervisor a little higher up the chain. If the person you're talking to can't give you a yes, that's not the right person to negotiate with. And there's ways around that. We'll talk about that in another video probably, but it's the overall concept we're going for. The fourth rule for me is you need to learn to listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 set of lips for a reason. And there's, you're so cute. There's a real reason for that. Some people hear things, but they really don't pay attention. They need to listen. And when you're negotiating with someone, you need to listen to what's important to them, because it's going to give you clues on how you can negotiate the best outcome for the both of you. And the final rule that I have is your attitude is everything. If you come in hot and heavy that you want a deal and it's your way or the highway, you better get a good car because you're probably going to hit the highway. So attitude is truly serious. If you come into it with the intention of finding a win-win outcome, working together, staying in integrity, listening to what they want, talking to the right decision maker, and asking for what you want, you'll probably be more successful than you ever anticipated to be. That's my 5 basic rules.
Wonderful.
Would you like me to tell you a story about one of them?
Yeah, Norma, are you able to share a story about rule number 1?
Sure. I have a story about a house we bought, a little tiny house in a small town in Saskatchewan. I'll call it the 512 house for...
So this is the integrity
portion.
Of our 5 tips.
So one of the rules I have is that you always want to be in integrity and you always want to leave with a win-win outcome. We went to go look at this little house for sale by private owner, cute little place. The woman that owned it had intended to move into that house. She'd been renovating it for 2 years. And as she got closer to her renovation being completed, she realized she really didn't want to live in town. One of the rules that I talk about in our book is you look for things that are blue chip or bargaining chip, and that's a different video. But what that means is you look for things that both sides can win on, and you start to mention them with the hope and the understanding you're going to give up some stuff in order for them to feel good. As we went through the house, I did the normal, that looks good. Oh, we're going to have to replace the stove, or this flooring looks a little rough. We'll have to have someone look at that. All the things that you do to set the tone for the negotiation. She asked for she had set an asking price, and I have 7 secret words that I share with everybody, and I'll share that at the end of the series. So stick with John for at least 5 series, and you'll get some good tips at the end. But what happened is she offered a selling price that was way less than the current value. Because I had already gone through the house and I'd set her up for I wasn't going to pay for her asking price, I was really embarrassed because I have to find win-win for my integrity to be in place. So as we're standing outside of the front steps, I'm like, she's $20,000 less than what the current market value is. And I'm always good at paying less than, but I don't want to take advantage of either.
I know exactly what you mean.
So I started chatting with her, and I said to her, we are buying it with a partner. I'm not sure what their budget is. I could live with the difference in cost, but if I could go back to my partner and cut a little better deal, maybe I could give her a little more money for the house. My husband, who's a sweet man, looked at me and thought, she's crazy again. The woman that we wanted to buy the house from was dumbfounded. Nobody had ever offered to do that. She said, I know exactly what you can do to make me feel better. I asked her what it was. It goes back to the rule of listening. She said, if you could pay my legal fees on the house, that would work for her. We agreed on the deal. It was a $400 legal bill. And I bought the house for $20,000 under value. So it goes back to integrity. I felt good about it. She felt good about it. And she has since sent other people our way saying, if you're looking to buy a house or sell a house, talk to Norma. So integrity can work.
That's a pretty good deal. That certainly is win-win. She got something and you got something, and both of you were happy.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is that easy. Stay in integrity, and more deals will come your way. It's been my experience.
So Norma, I know that your negotiation book was written a while ago, but share with us a little bit about this new book that you have coming out.
Thanks, John. I'm really excited. So as a successful real estate investor, I get to live my life by choice, which means that I can choose to stay in real estate or I can move on to other projects. My passion is something that I learned the hard way. Growing up, no one taught me about money. I became successful with Alpha, my husband, and a good team around us to teach us. But what I've realized is parents don't talk to kids about money. We all end up with a money monster in our life, which we call bad debt or high credit cards. So my partner and I, business partner, not my husband, we wrote a book, and it's called Money Monster or Money Master. It's for parents, how to teach your kids the basics of money and have them love every minute of it. The book's not out yet, but if you'd like to follow us on Facebook or keep an eye on John's page, you'll hear when it's out. And secretly, it's also for parents and adults to help them learn to manage their money a little better so you can buy more real estate.
Thanks, Norma. Stay tuned for the next video in this series where Norma's going to share a little bit more about tip number 2.
Thanks, John.